Hi there. In this video, we'll be covering how do you hire a ghostwriter. Following these steps could help you avoid a problem that could cost you lots of time or even tens of thousands of dollars. By the end of this video, you will learn some of the best places to find established ghostwriters, the steps you should follow in the interview process, and the red flags that should make you reconsider working with them. And stay tuned until the end of the video for a free opportunity. Let's dive in. You can find book ghostwriters in so many places online. You can look at publishing companies, you can look at LinkedIn, you can look at Upwork and Fiverr. I think some of the key places that you should be looking for hiring a ghostwriter are LinkedIn, Reedsy, and Association of Ghostwriters. LinkedIn is a popular platform for working professionals, and you can find a lot of really good ghostwriters there. Another option is Reedsy, and Reedsy is full of established writers, coaches, and other people in the publishing process, in the book process. It's very book focused, and you can find people of all different backgrounds with the book process on Reedsy, along with ghostwriters. And you need, I believe, to have written 10 books or ghostwritten 10 books to be included for approval on that site. Association of Ghostwriters works similarly. I'm a part of that organization. I'm a proud member of that organization, and it's great to be able to collaborate with different ghostwriters and get better understandings of best practices and better understandings of working with clients and those sorts of things. And that requires a vetting process as well. So every ghostwriter in that organization has written at least a handful of books. So it's a really good way to find established ghostwriters. When hiring a ghostwriter, it's important to have an interview process in place, and it's important to do the due diligence to make sure that the person you're choosing is the right fit for you. Think about all the time that you're going to spend working with them. Weekly meetings, interactions, back and forth email exchanges. You really want somebody who follows your pattern and who can keep up with you, who can drive you and motivate you to keep going, because this is going to be a tough process, and there's going to be a lot of uncertainty and difficulty and struggle that you're going to face as you write the book. With that in mind, it's not enough just to even have one phone conversation with them or a Zoom call. It's important to actually connect with their former clients. If you're working with a ghostwriter, you should be able to ask them for references from previous clients that they can actually speak to the experience of working with them. You want to know that the person that you're signing up to work with is dependable and reliable. It's much like finding a babysitter for your kids or hiring somebody in your company. You want to know that the person you're hiring is up to the task. And you really need to be able to work through the interview process that way. So the interview process really is all about having the conversation, talking to previous clients, checking their references, and also reading the material they've worked on. So it's a little tough. And it's also difficult because you can't really gauge their writing level based on somebody else's voice, because everybody's voice is going to be different. I would say that if you're looking at material from multiple books that they've written, it's important to see that the books sound different, that the voice in the books is different. You don't want the ghostwriter to sound like them. You want them to sound like you. So you want to make sure that the writing that they can do is adaptable for multiple voices, that they can write convincingly for multiple voices. When I work with my clients, I actually have their voices running through my head. And I know it sounds very, sounds quirky to say that, but it's true. I really have to adapt my writing style to meet them where they are, because their voice is going to be so different. Each voice is different. They say things differently. Maybe they have actual sayings that they want to convey in the text. You might even have a separate file that you keep just of their sayings that you want to include. I've had clients who, I sent them material and they said, it doesn't sound enough like me, I want to add more of me in it, which is great. I love having those conversations because then it allows for more of their voice to shine through the writing. I love that give and take, but that give and take needs to be able to happen. One key element of the ghostwriting process that does require some attention is the payment process and how that's all mapped out. Typically with the projects I've worked on, they've been milestone based. They typically involve some upfront money because it's important to be able to set that up. And I'll explain why in a second. Typically the books I've worked on have involved milestone payments. And that way the bulk of the payment is structured so there's different milestones and different payments throughout the process, it creates accountability on both sides. You know, if the project for the entire run is going to cost $30,000 or more, it's important to be able to split that up into payments of maybe $5,000 or $6,000 each to be able to create accountability on both sides. If you, as the client, as the customer, are being asked to fork over lots of money up front, and I'm not talking about a percentage, I'm talking about half or more of the project cost, it's typically a red flag. It's typically a red flag to me that because you don't know what quality of the work that you're going to receive. You don't know how good this writing is going to be. You don't know if this person is dependable or reliable, if they're going to do exactly what you ask them to, if they're going to be filing in a timely manner. What if they disappear? You know, I think it's important to be able to keep that in mind when setting up the project. But for the projects I work on, typically there will be an upfront cost, you know, another payment that comes in at the time when the first payment will be an upfront cost, and then will come payment for the hook, milestone, audience, and maybe first couple chapters, really getting the foundation of the project. The next milestone after that might be at the 25% milestone, then 50%, maybe 75%, and the full manuscript. And the reason that it's set up that way is twofold. It's accountability on both sides. It allows accountability for the ghostwriter that they are getting paid for the project, and it allows accountability for the client that they're receiving high quality work in return. Typically with the milestone process being broken up the way it is, the first milestone is really focused on all of the foundational work of the project. The hook, the outline, the audience, all of those things folded together, and maybe a couple sample chapters to start, just to make sure that the voice is fine-tuned, to make sure that everything is in line. And then from there, from the rest of the project forward, the milestones are typically broken down within a couple chapters. So I might actually have that next milestone as the first 2 chapters after that, and then maybe 3 chapters after that. So it really depends on the way the chapters break up. I typically don't do word count goal milestones because I think they're frustrating. They actually lead to worse books. If I am focused on word counts, I'm going to write, and keep writing just to hit the word count goal. Whereas with chapter-based milestones, I'm focused on making the best chapters possible. I've seen it both ways. I've seen it where I myself have not been paid for some work I completed. I wrote and handed it in, and then I never got paid for the work, which is frustrating. And then on the other side, I've seen other people who have hired ghostwriters, and the ghostwriters disappeared or didn't do a good enough job. Typically, those projects have come into me after that client left that ghostwriter and said, I am not working with them again, they're not doing a good job. But then it's frustrating because I'm starting the project with an air of disappointment. You know, they've already sunk a lot of cost into the book, they've sunk a lot of time into the book, it's not going the way they want them to, and now I have to clean up the mess that had been created by the previous ghostwriter, which ties back to the need to have a robust interview process in place, because if you can catch those red flags before signing up with the ghostwriter, you can save yourself lots of strife. If you want to learn more about ghostwriting, head to my website, goodghostwriter.com. You can click the link below. There you can sign up for my emails to learn insights and information about the ghostwriting process. And you also have the opportunity to book a strategy call with me, a free one-on-one strategy call, where we can talk about your book and talk about all the opportunities you have in the ghostwriting process. Now, we come out with content like this weekly, so feel free to like and subscribe to my channel to receive these weekly videos. Remember, good ghostwriting makes great books. I'm Dan Good. Thanks for watching.